going back and forth, I guess, between you guys. Let's start with you, Esmé.
Hi.
You are no longer with us in some ways. Here you are in real life, of course. But on Game of Thrones, well, tell the folks what happened to you.
I'm guessing everyone who's in this room is up to date. If you're not...
Yeah, spoiler alert, right.
Tough shit.
It happened last year.
Leave or suck it up and cope with it. I got killed by Joffrey, which was an unfortunate way to go out. Well, I know, come on guys! The all of it is to die. He filled me full of crossbows. It sucked, basically. And that's what happens when you mess with Littlefinger.
Follow-up question on that. Did you want out of Game of Thrones, or did you want to stay?
No, I wanted to stay.
You did? Okay.
There's like this amazing vicious rumor on the internet I got fired for not being naked anymore, which I think is amazing.
That is the
This is such bullshit. And I was like, wow, this is inventive. And some feminist wrote some article and she found all like these backup, these like supporting evidence and quotes. It was very funny. I was like, oh no.
So totally not true.
That's
good. That is great to dispel rumors. Let me switch over to you, Kristian. You are not 6'10" either, right?
No, I am.
That was on the internet.
I am 6'10".
I know you are. No, I'm just kidding. That was a real rumor.
That was a real rumor.
Let me ask you about getting your part. How did you get the part?
Okay, it wasn't the standard. It wasn't a standard audition. I did an audition 4 years previously for a movie called Hot Fuzz.
Edgar!
Which actually Rory McCann ended up getting the part. Who plays the Hound. He actually got the part I auditioned for. One of the one-word characters. Yeah, that's my speciality, clearly. I got called back 4 years later for Game of Thrones. It was the same casting agent, and it was the most bizarre. Everything that happens to me is bizarre. I actually got the call. I was going to meet my friends for lunch. This is a very intimate story. And they said, we need to find a child for you to carry. It's from nowhere. And so I went to a 40th birthday party of some random woman. And I took her child and carried her around the garden in front of the camera. And reacted in various different ways and showed that I could emote successfully with only one word. Lifted a mahogany table. That was it. I got the part.
You only had one audition? That was it? You said
Oh no, I had quite a lot of.
Okay.
You know what they're like.
Yeah.
I had to go and meet various people.
Did you meet the Americans?
Yeah.
Oh, I never met the Americans.
Really?
No, I wasn't important enough to meet the Americans.
Kristian, did your height and girth have anything to do with you getting the part?
Well, I think so. I'm sure the casting brief for Hodor was not like 5 foot. He needed to be of a certain stature, a certain strength, and there's quite a few people up for Hodor, I believe, but I guess they just liked my take on it.
I'm guessing your audition when you were speaking, you were speaking the one word.
Yes.
Right? Was that, they wanted you to speak that in how many different ways?
Oh, that was crazy. There's actually somewhere in the world, there's a soundboard which I've done for, you know what ADR is? It's like dubbing, overdubbing, voice replacement and stuff. There's me doing about 75 different doors, and they're all the same. It reminds me of when I'm a DJ as well, and someone tells you to turn it down, you just put your hand on the knob and go. And you're turning it down, and they go, oh yeah, that's better. Say Hodor differently, I'm like Hodor. I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect.
As someone screamed here at the very beginning, when you're walking the streets wherever you are, do you get that call from various people?
No, you know what it is? This is not like first world problems here. No, people don't really shout it at me, but the thing that fucking annoys me is people say, do you get pissed off when people saying Hodor to you? I say, no, I get pissed off when people asking if I'm pissed off.
That doesn't include me, does it?
Yes. Damn it! No, more people ask me if I'm pissed off about it than actually say Hodor to me. And I'm like, No, I'm not pissed off. I'm in fucking Game of Thrones.
Esmé, let me switch back over to you. What was, I mean, when you were first cast, I mean, what was the process like for you? And I mean, what made you want to go for the role? It was, first of all, it was written. It was the first and maybe only role written for the TV show. Is that correct? Okay.
I think they might have written. Have they written other characters?
There's embellished in other characters. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I think she was the first original creation.
I think joined characters together as well, haven't they?
Yes,
Sort of
and I think she
origins.
was kind of amalgamation of, because when I first went up for the part, she was just called the red-headed whore. So I went in for the audition, yes. So the casting description was red-headed whore. Redhead. I don't know what the rest of it, I can't even remember. But I went for one audition. So, can I move this? Okay, wait, it's very far away. So I had like one audition first because I was only able to do that one scene with Peter Dinklage, Tyrion, in the first ever episode, the pilot episode. So I went for the audition, they told me it was like nude, so I had to go in my underwear, do my audition in my underwear, yes. And I kind of knew a little bit about it when my agent called me and she was like, okay, so there's this fantasy show by HBO called Game of Thrones, and I was like, it's fantasy? I was like, ooh, I don't know. And I was like, oh, it's not going to be very good. It's going to be like, I'm probably going to offend everyone else. It's going to be like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to understand it. And I was like, I don't know about that. And then I was like, but it's HBO, so it's going to be, has to be awesome. So I went in and auditioned, and as soon as I saw the script, I was like, this is going to be amazing. Didn't know how amazing, thank God. And I had like 5 auditions, I think, in the end. But it was kind of embarrassing because it was only for this one scene, so it wasn't like they had all these different scenes, and every time I went in, they were like, can you prepare something else? It was just the same scene. So it got to like I think like maybe the 4th audition, and by this point, when I first went in, there's a whole bunch of people in the room. By the the 4th audition is just me and the casting assistant, and we're just kind of like, yeah, this is awkward. Here I am again, doing the same scene. They've maybe changed like 2 words or something in the scene, but yeah. He was sick of me by the end of that. He was like, just have the part. Go away.
So how about your character getting extended and running as long as it did? How did that evolve?
Well, after the show got greenlit for the full series, I just got, like, I got an email from the producers that's like, we've got the green light, we're going to series. I was like, that's amazing. Good for you guys. No, I was happy because I knew that then the show would actually see the light of day. And then I guess they emailed me like a couple of weeks after that and were like, we have like another scene we'd like you to do, would you be happy to come back? And I was like, no. And then they just kept on emailing me scenes. Like, there was no like formal, like, this is how long you're going to be in it, because they didn't know. They were literally writing the role for me as they went. So it's kind of cool because I try and bribe them into doing stuff. But yeah, it just evolved naturally almost.
Your role, you were in it from the get-go.
Yes.
I don't know if we're spoiling anything here or not, but can you say whether you remain in Game of Thrones throughout the run?
Well, because certain things have been changed about our storyline. I'm not going to tell you because it hasn't gone out yet. We're speeding through our storyline pretty fast, like. I'm not going to be able to say.
Nope, that's fine. Fine answer. Figure I'd ask, and if you could, you would. I'm gathering from what you said, you're not a fantasy fan to begin with, to start this.
I didn't dislike it, I just didn't really know anything about the genre, and the only real exposure I guess I'd had was to, films like Lord of the Rings, which I really hate to say I didn't like.
What?
I know, I liked one of them, but then it got to like the third one, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm sorry.
So I'm guessing the same question to you, Kristian. Fan of fantasy?
Yeah, I'm a fan of fantasy. Yeah, I don't read many books or anything, but I do watch fantasy movies, and my mother's a huge Game of Thrones fan long before I got the part. So I do like Lord of the Rings, although I think The Hobbit's shit.
The Hobbit was so bad. So tell me, what did your mum say when you told her you got
exactly
was
the question?
Was she like totally freaked out?
Sit down, Mum. She'll take over. My mum nearly had a heart attack. Actually, I came home and I said I've just read for a part. His name's Hodor, and she cocked an eyebrow at me, and she said, "Is it Game of Thrones?" And I said, "Yeah, it's some HBO show." And she's like, "Take the part." just take the part. I wasn't sure about it because this is stupid. I didn't understand the character, and I never really wanted to play a character like that. You know, I didn't understand really how much you could bring to it at that stage. But yeah, she was very supportive, and it's kind of been our dinner conversation for the last 4 years.
Does she want you to tell her what happens later?
Oh, I have told her.
So she
still does my washing, so I have to tell her everything.
Well, and as many people have said, I mean, there are books out there which probably give you an idea
what might read
happen.
them, but I think she knows now that she doesn't trust the books fully, and she doesn't trust the HBO fully, that they're going to follow the storyline.
Right.
So, you kind of have to tell your mum, though. I feel like that's the average.
Yeah.
She was the only person I told that I was going to die.
Oh, like you did tell her, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I know I shouldn't have, and they swore me to, I wasn't allowed to tell anyone, but I was like, Mom!
did you say don't watch this episode, or did you?
I think, no, she was like, can you give me a heads up when it's coming? So I was like, okay, and like the week before I was like, Mom, you may or may not want to watch next week, and she was like, oh, okay. I think she watched it, my dad didn't. Yeah, I think my dad's still never seen it. But they watched everything up until then. I love the point that was the point at which they thought they should turn off the show, because then they're going to see me die.
They were okay with the sexual stuff.
Yeah, amazingly. And I thought that they were going to, oh God, after the brothel scene with Littlefinger in season 1,
that was
I was like...
Even I could not watch that. That was so awkward. My mother was there when I was watching that, and I'm like... Stop.
The worst thing is at the time I had a boyfriend who had a projector in his house. And every time anyone came over, and he had like a lot of like celebrity friends, I would say, and every time anyone would come over, he'd be like, guess what? My girlfriend's in HBO. Do you want to see her naked? And I'd be like, oh my God, I want she's in Game of Thrones. And he'd project, and it would always be that scene. So I'd like go out and I'd come in, and there'd be like him and a group of his friends like giggling and watching in like full, huge, you know, the size of like me 10 times my own size. Like, that's gross.
That is amazing. That's jaw-dropping. I think you said ex-boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend, yes.
I think I can see that.
But no, my parents were amazing, and I thought that after that scene, I was like, if they were ever going to disown me, now would be the time. And they didn't. They were really sweet about it. My dad was like, your performance was great, I thought you did really well, and, you know.
Well, let me ask you this. I did a panel earlier with Ernie Hudson, who did the HBO show Oz, which was a very gritty, realistic, violent show. And I was talking to him about some of the things that had to go on in that show. How about for you? I mean, the filming process itself of that scene and some of the others. I mean, how difficult is that for you to do as an actress?
I mean, I don't think I find it specifically more difficult because I'm naked. That day was difficult, but it wasn't because I was naked, it was because my co-star was a little bit crazy.
I love this story.
So I had to kind of try and attempt to tame her, which wasn't
You mean in real life she was
Kristian
a little
wants
bit...
you to tell the full story.
Yeah, tell the story.
Okay, so here's a full story.
No one's watching this. Go ahead.
So the girl that I was acting opposite in that scene, and I want to preempt this by saying she's a really amazing girl, she's very nice. But when she came into Game of Thrones, at that stage she hadn't done any, I don't think she'd done any mainstream acting, so to speak. She was an adult actress. So she wasn't used to like the process of filming a TV show. So she didn't understand continuity. Because obviously when you're shooting like an adult film, that doesn't matter. No one clearly that's not why people are watching. And I'm a continuity freak. Like I'm the person that will turn off a movie if the continuity is not good. I'm like, look at this cigarette! No, it's no. I turned off The Aviator because it was Aviator. Is that what I mean? The one with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Yes, that one. I had to turn that off because of that. Anyway. So I care about continuity, and she did not get it. And literally all day. It's like we're having conversation and her butt's here, then her butt's here. And I'm like, no, I'm like, you just have to remember, like, the position your body is in during this part of the scene has to be the same every time, because otherwise it's not going to work and our whole day is going to be wasted. So please try and get it right. And she just couldn't get it. And in the end, I was getting more and more frustrated, and it was really hot, and I'm like dripping sweat, and I have like 5 Italian camera guys all stood behind me giggling like schoolboys, and I'm like, oh! So in the end, I just manhandled her, and I was really, really mean. So you see it in the scene, and I look like I'm being really casual, just having like this cute conversation, and I'm not. I'm like holding her like this, and I'm like pushing and shoving her, and like holding her head face down, because I was like, bitch ain't gonna ruin my scene.
Kristian, the most difficult scene that you have done.
Well, also, it's also the nude scene. It was just.
And this is the day we met. You had to tell him about how we met as well.
Yeah. we were at the same makeup truck. They filmed the same. It was when Alfie Allen was. You were leaving Winterfell, weren't you? You were having your prosthetic bits adjusted as well, weren't you?
Yeah, they were doing, I don't know, they were doing something.
They were dusting something in around here, I don't know what was happening. I was having a huge prosthetic penis attached to me. We were on the same makeup truck. And it was also a matter of fact, honestly. That was not only the worst day of filming, it was probably the worst day of my life. I always tell this story now, aren't I?
What's that?
That horrible story about the pheasants.
Oh my god, you could tell the story about the pheasants.
Okay. So I was promised it would be a closed set, which means there's only the necessary people there, but it wasn't. There was like 200 people all stood in a circle. And they made this sort of, on the props list, it was prosthetics penis pants. So it was like this horrible flesh-coloured G-string with a huge dildo strapped in front of it. And they had to plait it into my own pubic hair and sort of make it, and I was all stuck in with all this gum and glue, which took weeks and months to be removed from my own body, and with acid. Not really. Americans. Anyway. Sorry.
That was me.
Okay,
let's go.
So we arrived in this wooded glade, and there was all these fucking people, and it was raining. The generator kept going out, and I was like crouched in this shrub with no clothes on.
I think no one enjoys this more than you.
I just love the way he describes he's hiding in the shrub.
Yeah.
Hidden in a bush.
And every time I would come out, it was quite a short scene. But every time I would come out, there was like a pheasant on this side of the, and there was a pheasant on this side of the set, and they wanted to have sex, basically. So this one would go, "Arr!" and this one would go, "Arr!" And so we had to start the whole scene all over again. There's a child here. I've got my dick out. It's not really mine.
It's an R-rated, well, it would be an R-rated show. So.
It was horrible. It was horrible, yeah.
How many hours did that take then?
Well, HBO really don't hurry anything, do they? They take forever to do everything. Like a 30-second scene will take days. That took a whole day. Yeah, coming out of a shrub.
Let's get a little more intellectual.
Never.
Your internal monologue when you were saying Hodor.
Well, it's actually quite a fierce internal monologue, because it's the only way that it's going to get externalized.
Yeah.
You know, I have to be like really thinking about what he's thinking, because there's no other way to do it. You know, I'm racing through thoughts, and sometimes I have to snap out of it afterwards. Like, I really have to turn my brain into a different direction.
Do you ever blow the scene by actually saying what you're thinking? No.
Yeah, extremely professional. Seriously.
You know what your line is.
Yeah, I know my line.
Okay.
I know when to say it. It's not just like a Tourette's thing.
It's such an, I throw this to both of you, I guess, I mean, it's such an ensemble cast, and obviously a cast where some people come and some people go. What's the vibe like on set, knowing that there's so much to encompass in this world?
It can be intense. I think more and more as the seasons have progressed. I'm not going to say it's not fun, because it is fun, but it's definitely not the type of show you'll have a bloopers reel from, because they have so much expectation of the final product now. It's just like you have to get back to work, you have to get back to business. There's so much money being spent, but you have such, as you say, such top quality people and producers and actors, and yeah, it's just it can be quite intense sometimes. You have to put out such a high quality product.
Would you agree? I mean, what's that, your kind of feeling?
Yeah, although I think if there were going to be any outtakes, they'd probably be from my scenes. I mean, I felt kind of lucky, I suppose, in the sense that I got to be involved, you know, the storyline, not so much in the season 3, for sure, but in season 1, it had like this feeling of, there's a great, even up until when I left the show, there was like a great camaraderie. Like it sounds really cheesy, but it really is like a big family, and everyone gets on, I think, and you know, there's this real sense of like working together. There's, considering how many talented, incredibly like well-seasoned actors there are on the show, there's very few egos, which is massively refreshing. And yeah, I mean, especially in season 1, I got to be involved in some of the more light-hearted scenes that were a lot of fun to shoot. But yeah, there is that sense of, I mean, I know that in season 3, when I had some of the heavier shoots, it's, you know, it's hard. It's pretty intense, like you said, but I mean, it's the best job in the world. You can't.
I've talked to actors who've been on very kind of hard, serious, bloody movies, whatever, and they say oftentimes the vibe on the set is just the exact opposite of that, and it has to be. Because you're dealing with such heavy emotional stuff during the shoot, that when it's time to break, it's levity and jokes.
I don't know, yeah.
Yes, no?
I guess so. I didn't find that too much. I think on my death scene, I think there was a little bit of that on the day that we shot my death, but that was mainly because I just had to keep cracking jokes. I was in agony, so the only way to get through the day was to just be a jackass and, you know, be like making stupid jokes all the time about how I was dying and full of arrows. But I don't know, this day that we shot the baby scene, the death of the baby scene, that was the weirdest day I've ever been on set, ever, anywhere. It was really, really, like, the nude scenes were like not awkward at all in comparison to having like a baby on set and you're pretending to slit its throat. It was really weird. And but I'll tell you what was funny is that the mother was like, ha 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 ha. She was like so jovial and happy and joking, and I'm like,
my baby's a star.
exactly. And I'm like, yeah, it's having, we're pretending to slit its throat. This isn't at all weird.
Oh, that won't do any damage later in life, will it? I'll open it up in a minute to the floor. I'm sure you guys have some great questions, but I just want to ask about King Joffrey, because a common feeling I think is, and I got to concur with this, is he's got to be the most evil character, not currently on TV, but in the past few years. And that must have taken an awful lot for the actor to get to that point. But what was it like dealing with him and his evil as sort of an overriding theme, if you will, one of the overriding themes?
It kind of made working with, it made, he is such a talented actor, and he in real life is like the nicest kid. He's so sweet.
How old is he?
I think he's about 19, 20, is he? But he is, I think he was like 18 when he started shooting. He is so well spoken, he's very polite, he's very quiet, and he's an absolute sweetheart. He's adorable. He's studying theology, I think, so in between takes, he's like sat there studying, like reading books, like not messing around on his phone like the rest of us. He's like there, like he's a really serious academic. But then, and he's like sweet as pie, and then he walks on set, and he's one of the few actors that I've seen this happen to, but you can literally see the switch in his eyes when he goes from being Jack to being Joffrey. He just is like something clicks, and it's scary when he does it. And he gives off such an intense, like, there's so much intensity, and he's terrifying. He's genuinely terrifying when he's in character. So it kind of makes it, to a certain extent, fairly easy to, you know, play opposite him, because it's scary. It's really creepy. But I know that he has a hard time with being that hated. I know that he actually finds it difficult that his character, he's very acutely aware of it, and I know that he takes a bit of that on as a burden, and does struggle with it.
My only problem with his death, and I think others might share this, was it wasn't painful enough. Poisoning. It was poison. I mean, it wasn't as much blood and gore as you could.
Yeah, but it looked good.
It did.
He's like,
it did look
I was jealous. I was like, dude, you got like the best death. It was so good.
Some books, he clawed his own throat while he was being poisoned.
Did he do that?
Yeah, he was. Actually, they said his throat was all like pretty much like hamburger from clawing at it.
Oh, right, okay.
I just think it's a great shame that I think he's actually not. He doesn't want to pursue an acting career now.
Oh,
he wants to,
really?
he wants to teach. He wants to be a university professor, and I mean, good for him. Like that's amazing. It makes me kind of sad because he's so talented, but maybe the most hated character on television is going to put him off. It's like so bad.
Well, look, why don't we, I'll moderate or whatever, but why don't we take some questions from you guys? Open it up, whoever wants to ask it, either of these folks.
Yeah. Should we hand them?
Yeah, we can hand them. Is there somebody who can bring this mic to people?
If you could have had an intimate scene with anybody, who would it have been?
Who are you asking?
With anybody at all?
Anybody in the Game of Thrones cast.
Oh, Jesus. You're going to get me in trouble. Like, you're filming this, you're going to put it online. I don't know if I can answer that question.
Do it in character.
In character?
That's an easy way out.
In character, she so would have had a scene with Littlefinger.
Yeah.
You know she would have gone to bed with Littlefinger. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kristian, if you could have said anything aside from Hodor in any scene, what would it have been?
Anything?
Anything.
Anything? Like, you think I can just pluck this out of the sky?
It's going to be on YouTube, so you can say anything you want.
Oh, sure, but what's you? Let me think about that. God, well, even from the show, there are so many great lines. You know, it's so rude. I'm not going to say it in front of you. No! But, it's from I think it was episode 1 or 2 where the Hound and Arya are together, and yeah, it's just naming swords is for seas. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that. You know, I just love how gruff he is, and I love his lines in this season. However, I'm not able to pull a random quote from literature or the entire film history. I'll get back to you in 10 minutes about that.
Actually, it brings up one question I wanted to ask too. Was about the plot, the labyrinthine, however that's pronounced, plot.
Yeah.
Do you follow it all? Do you know what's going on with all of the different characters and scenarios?
No.
And in that, I join you, my friend.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I haven't read the books. I do watch the show. I catch up with everybody else. I do get the scripts, obviously, so you read the scripts. But I don't even really care about our part. You know, it's weird. You do become invested in. You sort of, everyone, as Esmé has said, everyone loves each other in the cast. It really is like a family. But you do become particularly close with the people you act with. So I'm definitely more interested in our own storyline, and I really like our storyline because I'm into the sort of magical and natural element of the story, and I think that's where Bran comes into quite a lot.
Yes, right, exactly. Let's go back to the. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. I asked Elena this earlier at the earlier panel. This is a question for both of you. And did you at all feel pressure to do a nude scene? Like you felt maybe bullied? Like, because I imagine especially female actresses, you know, definitely feel that pressure. And I imagine some men do. So my question is simply, did you feel pressure to do that?
I don't think I felt particularly keen to do it, but it was told to me that, are you happy enough to do a nude scene? And, you know, I kind of thought to myself, you know, I don't have fucking beach body and stuff, but I think it's important. And that's what I like about Game of Thrones. You don't have to be like the Hollywood, like the typical set to be on TV or be an actor. And that's the way I thought about it when I did it. You know, like everyone, we're all different shapes and sizes, so why the fuck not?
What about
I mean, when I signed up for it, as I said earlier, when I auditioned for the show, I knew that there was, I mean, you don't go and audition for the part of a prostitute and not expect that you're going to not encounter some nudity along the way.
Red-headed whore, dude.
Right, exactly. Like, it's like on a pack on your leg, and there's like a wire dangling, and you're trying to, like, you're in a porta potty, and you're kind of hovering with like this up and this down, and you like, and it takes you forever, and you come out, and there's like some poor guy who's been stood waiting for you for half an hour, and you're like. That and the fact that I'm convinced that they listen to you peeing, even though every time I'm like talking, I'm like, I'm going for a pee, please turn the mic off. And I'm like, I swear they're listening to me pee. So I started singing really loudly to compensate for it, which must be even weirder for the guy who's doing it so weird. And I'm like, tra-la-la-la-la.
So I wonder what people would get if they YouTubed Esmé peeing.
Oh God, I don't want to know.
I wanted to ask you a question too. That when I was thinking about doing this, my favorite giant in fantasy history, film history, I think, is Andre the Giant in Princess Bride. Your thoughts on him? Did you do any channeling of his character?
I've never seen the Princess Bride.
Never seen Princess Bride? Oh, does that count as fantasy? Oh, I do like fantasy.
Right.
Go back to Ireland! Anybody need a peanut?
Anyway, yeah, my agent has been watching for a remake of Princess Bride since I basically signed with her. She's going to put me forward for it, obviously. And there was a rumor at Disney we're going to make a musical of it. I can sing, you know. I don't know much about Andre the Giant either. I didn't follow wrestling, although I was going through school. Everyone, oh, you're looking Andre the Giant, you know, whatever. But now I think to myself, there must be people in school being called Hodor, probably. You know, so it's kind of weird. You know, playground shit. Things come full circle. You know?
Yes.
This is a question for Kristian. I know that you do EDM DJing. We're really excited to see that later on tonight. But before Game of Thrones and now after Game of Thrones, how are you finding balance between your DJing and your acting career?
I don't really plan anything, to be honest. I'm just going to juggle, just to see what happens. You know, I've got things coming in all different times, different areas. I'm just going to go with what feels right.
Right on.
So it's a good time. So I'm very lucky.
Actually, when does Game of Thrones start shooting again?
Really soon, actually.
July, isn't it?
Yeah. I know they've all sort of arrived back in Northern Ireland, and all the locations are starting to sort of get things ready, but they haven't actually started yet. But it's going to be really soon. So
When do you see a script?
Not for a while.
Yeah, I mean, still for a while. At least for me.
They always do the read through and stuff. I think it's around June, isn't it? The read through the end of June, usually. Yeah.
Way back.
Question for Esmé. Of all the costumes you had the opportunity to wear while you were on the show, if you were allowed to take one home and hang in your closet, did you have a particular favorite?
Yes, and I got to take it home. It was in the beginning of season 3 when I'm walking along the pier with Littlefinger and Peter Baelish, and I'm wearing that long turquoise kimono. It was that one. I loved it so much, and it was close to one of the last things that I shot. I think I shot that in Croatia, and then I just had to go. No, I think that was that was the last scene that I shot, and so I kind of begged and pleaded with the producers if they'd let me keep the costume, and they were like, well, let's wait and see if we need to do any reshoots, and then if not, and I didn't hear anything, and then lo and behold, like about a month before Christmas, I got a parcel from Belfast, and it was my kimono, so I was really excited.
How often have you worn it?
I wore it once. They did this thing called Roast Joffrey. I don't know if any of you guys saw that. HBO did this thing called Roast Joffrey. It was like a whole social media thing where people sent in their roasts about how much they hated Joffrey. So I put it on and did a roast as was about how much I hated Joffrey.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I posted it on my Facebook page. I couldn't resist. I was like, I have to do it.
Oh, that's great revenge. Yes, right here.
Just to kind of continue on that thought, did you get any joy out of watching Joffrey die? Have you watched that?
A great deal. It was awesome. Yeah, and I knew it was coming because I'd been I hadn't watched it for some reason. I think I was traveling, and my Twitter feed just started going crazy, and everyone was like, "You must be so happy," and I was like, oh my god, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. So I'm like, we gotta watch it. So me and my boyfriend sat and watched it together, and we're literally like, yay! And he's like, oh, yay! Yeah, it was great.
This is not the boyfriend who showed the pictures of you.
Oh no.
This would be a new boyfriend, a better boyfriend.
This is a much better boyfriend.
Yes, over here.
I think the most shocking scene for a lot of us was the Red Wedding. How was that to prepare psychologically, and were you guys actually on set for it?
Neither of us were there.
No.
From our point of view, or from my point of view, obviously maybe yours as well, it was more sad that a couple of actors that we really loved from season 1 and were a huge part of the cast, like Richard and obviously Una, who recently joined the cast, and Michelle particularly, who I think stole that entire season with that scene. I actually think she should have an Emmy for that scene.
Yeah.
But it was more sad to see our castmates go.
Yeah.
Because I was dreading it.
I knew that scene was coming, and
hard to watch.
I cried through the whole
Yeah.
thing. It was horrible. And when Michelle let out that like blood curdling scream, it was like, I get like goosebumps just thinking about it. I hate it. But it was hard because Michelle, who plays Catelyn Stark, was kind of like Mama Bear, don't you think? And like she was kind of like everyone's surrogate mom on set. So she's like this amazingly beautiful, down to earth, very loving, kind woman, and she was often a shoulder to cry on for a number of cast members I know. So when she went, it was kind of like everyone's surrogate mom was leaving. So yeah, it was sad.
So you're seeing these things in real time, like the rest of us, right? There's no advance.
No, I mean we know, to a certain extent, I have an idea of. We might know when other people are shooting. So I knew when they shot that scene because it was around the same time I shot my death scene, and we all sat in the pub together and had a drink and were kind of like, moaning together. But yeah, you don't see anything but your own work beforehand.
You were talking about continuity earlier, and a question I have. I mean, is it shot episode by episode, or is it a whole lot of?
No.
Okay.
It's shot by location predominantly, I think. But they have like 2 or 3 units working at all times, so it means that they're consecutively shooting all kinds of different stuff. But yeah, I think it works mainly by location.
Location makes sense. Way back.
Oh, quick question. I highly doubt it, but have you guys seen the South Park homage / parody of the Song of Ice and Fire?
What, with the Xbox One?
Yes. And if so, what?
Sorry?
And since you obviously did, what were your thoughts about it?
I thought it was awesome. South Park parody, like, it's amazing. I love South Park.
Well, that's a total win, isn't it?
Yeah, I love to see all the parodies. They're incredible.
Yeah, how many are there that are out there? I mean,
there are 3 episodes.
Infinite.
It's a trilogy.
There's 3?
Yeah, they call it a Son of Ass and Fire.
Of course.
My favourite one still remains the SNL skit about how Game of Thrones is directed by a 12-year-old boy. This is kind of funny because it's not true.
So boobs, bloodshed.
Yeah.
What's another big word?
This is my best angle.
Okay, yes?
I was going to say, other work coming up, future?
Yes, I've got a lot of music. I don't know, just to follow on, I've got a lot of music stuff coming up I'm really, really excited about. Obviously, typical actor bullshit you can't talk about. And I've got a couple of TV shows coming up, so I'm excited about that.
Here or in Britain?
Some stuff here and some stuff in Britain.
I'm midway through shooting a film at the moment called Mind Puppets, which is, I think that name's going to change actually. It's a bad title for a film. I think they're going to change it, but it's an independent comedy. It's shooting in New Orleans at the moment. And then I have another film called Living Among Us, which is a vampire movie. I think that comes out later this year. And I was in Scorpion King 4, and that comes out later this year too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. That was a lot of fun.
Who else is in Scorpion King 4?
It's Victor Webster is the lead, Will Kemp's in it, Ellen Holman, who is from Spartacus. Don't know if any of you guys are Spartacus fans. She's in it. So.
I'm Spartacus.
I am Spartacus.
No, I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus!
I told you I'm Spartacus.
I play a goddess. Yes.
Where's Mommy being filmed? Or was it filmed?
It was filmed in Romania.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time there? For you?
Yes, it was my first time there, and it's an amazingly weird and awesome country. It is very odd. It's kind of like a time warp, but it's very beautiful.
Esmé, does your mother prefer you play a whore or a goddess?
God, I think she's like, will take anything that my clothes are on for now. No, she's
It's not porn, it's HBO.
Exactly. She's amazingly supportive, and she had many years of me being a burlesque performer.
Well, I was going to say,
yes.
Can you tell people a bit about that?
Yeah, so I did burlesque and cabaret performance for many years. And prior to that, during that period, I was also lingerie modeling. I was a fetish model way back in the day. So, they kind of run the gauntlet with me. They're like, where did you come from? How are you our daughter? But no, I have to give them credit. They're amazing. Because I come from a very non-artistic family. My dad's a scientist. My mom's a nurse. My brother's a neuroscientist, so it's not a world they're familiar with, and they've been amazingly supportive.
Who would you personally like to see take the throne?
Brienne.
Oh,
Good answer.
Gwen's an amazing actress. I'm really glad to see she's doing so well recently, and yeah, I think she's got so much integrity. She can sort Westeros out. I think she has the strength to do it, I think.
Member of the Rainbow Guard.
I don't know. I kind of think Tyrion, but that feels like an obvious answer.
Back row, yep.
Yeah, I actually have a question for Elsa. What I had noticed about the series was in the third season, I'm sure a lot of us noticed this, they really started to develop your character, and then they killed her off. And in my opinion, it felt really fast to me, because it was like right before that you're talking to people, you just see your character's developing. Did you feel it all treated, especially now, like you're gone, and Littlefinger hasn't even acknowledged it, And to me, I'm like, you seem like you were his right-hand man, so to speak, and how do you feel about that? I mean, to me, it just felt like they killed you off and they were like, we're done with it,
How do I feel about it? I don't know. I mean, to a certain extent, I think it's fairly realistic in terms of Littlefinger's reaction, because he's kind of a mercenary guy. He doesn't really give a shit. I mean, he knew that she was going to die when, he handed it over to Joffrey to be his, for target practice. So I feel like for him, it's not really surprising, his reaction. If I was Roz looking from heaven down on the situation, I would be really obviously pissed, because I felt that I had an important role in his business. But I've said this a couple of times before in panels, in my backstory for Roz, she kind of actually had a bit of a thing for Littlefinger, and I think that kind of made their relationship more complicated. So the fact that he didn't react when she died, I think, would have really irked her. But that's Game of Thrones, they kill people off mid, like look at Ned Stark, he didn't even get to the end, he didn't even make it to the season finale when they killed him, so, yeah.
I guess one question I wanted to ask too is just, people have written about this, I mean the parallel between the Game of Thrones world and the world we live in now. How do you see that parallel? I mean, do you see them as intersecting or relating?
Oh, very much, and I think that's why it's a show that people relate to, and I think that's why it's been so popular, is that you're probably not dealing with, exactly the literal situation, so hopefully, with a bit of luck, you haven't birthed a child with your brother, and hopefully, with a bit of luck, you're not having to fight someone for your life.
This is Boston, not Alabama.
Exactly. So, but I think the kind of relationships and the type of issues that people are dealing with in Westeros are totally parallel. It's all about power, it's about greed, it's about family relationships, it's all the kind of, it's stuff that to a greater or lesser extent, everyone understands, and that's what makes the characters so real, and that's why I think it's been so popular with people who have never watched a fantasy show before, who like have no, you know, interest in the genre per se. They see these characters and they're like, well, I get that, I understand that, I relate to it, and that's why they love it.
Kristian, you agree?
Yeah, totally. Just that it's so relatable as well. I mean, we all want to see unicorns and stuff, but I think the fact that there are no unicorns in Game of Thrones, I think that, yeah, it appeals to people who don't like fantasy, and I think that's the boundary it's crossed that nothing is done before. I totally agree with that.
Go.
But there are giants on the show, and you're no longer the tallest person on the show.
No, not by half a foot. He's half a foot taller than me. Like, what is that? It's pretty scary.
How do you feel about?
I was never the tallest person in the show. Never. There was season 1. There was what's his name?
They switched the mountain like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, the 4. No, it's not really true. There was Conan Stevens, who's taller than me, and there was the second one who definitely was taller than me. The third one was just ridiculous. I like the new one. I think he's the first one that really fills the bill.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be like
He looks
a mountain.
younger than Clegane.
What?
He looks younger than Clegane.
He looks younger than Sandor, yeah.
Sandor, sorry, thank you.
Get it, homie.
Sorry, oh my God.
No, just to me.
Study, folks, study.
I think Hound number 2, Mountain number 2 wasn't like big enough. It's all about size. It's all about size for me in the mountain. I don't care about his fucking age or what colour his eyes are or what nail polish he wears on his face.
Yes.
What are your hobbies in real life?
Games?
I look after my dogs. That's not a hobby, that's a job.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I've got 2 little gay ones. I've got a little Maltese. And, really,
Proper gay?
I love them. And a little lap. So I've got a dog that looks like Ghost. So he looks more like Ghost in my mind than actual Ghost looks in the show. I was like, here's my dog. Put him in, and I go to the cinema a lot. I don't have any time at the minute. That my dogs barely know me anymore.
Aww.
So,
So sad.
shut up. Yeah, so I haven't been really home much recently, unfortunately.
Esmé?
I go hiking a lot. I write as well, which kind of keeps me sane when I need like some kind of creative outlet. I travel quite a lot, not for work. I travel a lot for work, but traveling, eating is a big hobby of mine. It should be. What else? I'm trying to learn Spanish by Rosetta Stone very slowly. And I think that's about it.
Would
I
you-
like going out dancing.
I was just going to say, would you go to an EDM show DJ'd
Well,
by?
my boyfriend's actually a DJ too. He's,
Is he better than Kristian?
No.
I don't know.
He's a very well-known, we're not going to say, I don't know if you can tell you what, he's a very well-known DJ amongst DJs.
Who is it?
He's got Andy Caldwell. He got nominated for a Grammy
Oh.
this year. Yes, he's a house music producer. So I go to I get to travel with him a lot and go to a lot of his shows. So I'm kind of that person that's always like dancing by myself. My boyfriend's playing, so I'm like the one that's dancing and making friends. So.
That was a Billy Idol song many years ago, Dancing with Myself. Before your time, perhaps.
There you go.
We're kind of near the end. Let's, a couple more. Yeah, go.
The majority of the actors, obviously, are from Britain. Is it really because you're much cheaper than American actors?
Yeah. Our writers are much smaller as well. So.
How many the British unions are as good as the American ones?
The British equity is crap compared to SAG. I will come out and say it. It's really not good, and they need to pull their together up and sort it out, really, quite frankly. But I don't think that's the main reason. I mean, it makes financial sense for them to cast it out of the UK because it's shot in the UK, and that's becoming, you know, more. Also, pretty much everybody in the show, with the exception of Peter Dinklage and Jason Momoa, who played Khal Drogo, and it doesn't matter anyway because he never spoke English, have to speak in an English accent, so it kind of it would be weird to go to America to cast a show that, you know.
You don't think that whole range of Dick Van Dyke's going, "God bless you, Mary Poppins."
That would really add to it.
Yeah, I would love that.
But I suspect that, yes, budget has got something to do with it.
I'd say one more. Go ahead.
Real quick, just getting back to the DJing thing. Are either of you going to the EDC in Vegas next month?
No.
No.
Because if you did, that's going to be something it'll blow your mind.
All right, let's do one more.
Okay.
Question failed.
For Kristian, out of curiosity, what are they going to do with Bran now that he's starting to get bigger? Are they still going to have to carry him around?
Well, luckily they have a Hodor 2 and I have a Bran 2. So any sort of wide shot, it's probably not us. Because the size ratio is better. Because Bran is now, I think he's probably approaching 5'10", 5'11". It's just awful. Unfortunately, from the front on shot, it is me, and it is me. But yeah, thank you. Deserves a drum roll at least. And he's so heavy now. He used to be small and light, and then he grew to be tall and light, and now he's just starting to fill with lead. It's very unfortunate.
Very good. I think we're done. Thank you.